A wolf that could crack a bison's femur like a breadstick. That's not a metaphor, that's dire wolf biology, and it's the reason this list has to start here. Bigger skull, shorter legs, a bite built for bone, not flesh. 25% more muscle mass than the wolves running around your neighborhood today. Its bite force is estimated near 1,500 newtons, enough to fracture bone most predators wouldn't even attempt. And here's the part that breaks the name itself. It wasn't a wolf. Not really. DNA testing in 2021 found dire wolves split from the gray wolf lineage 5.7 million years ago, a completely separate branch native only to the Americas that never once interbred with the wolves we know now. When they went extinct 13,000 years ago, they didn't evolve into something smaller. They just ended. Gray wolves, outsiders from Eurasia, moved into the empty space they left behind. They hunted in coordinated packs, patient rather than explosive, wearing prey down instead of overpowering it in a single move. At the La Brea tar pits, thousands of them died the exact same way, lured in by an animal already trapped in the tar, convinced it was an easy meal. Even the most dominant predator in the ecosystem got greedy once too often. That single repeated mistake is the reason we have thousands of their skeletons to study today. Humans painted the next predator on the walls of caves, not for decoration. Cave lion. 10% bigger than a modern African lion, over 300 kilograms of muscle, almost no mane, because when your body is already built like a freight train, you don't need hair to advertise the threat. For 370,000 years, this animal ruled Ice Age Europe, surviving temperature swings that wiped out entire food chains around it. The cave paintings don't lie about the relationship. Some panels show it hunting horses, bison, even young mammoths. Others show humans running from it. A few show spears raised against it. Whatever existed between our ancestors and this animal, it wasn't simple, and it wasn't one-sided. Then, 14,000 years ago, it vanished. Prey gone, climate rising fast, humans spreading into every corner it once had to itself. The throne sat empty. Not for long. What replaced it stood taller than a basketball hoop. Short-faced bear. Arctodus. Ignore the name, there is nothing short about a predator that stood 3.5 meters tall on its hind legs and weighed 900 kilograms, nearly twice the size of a modern grizzly. For decades, scientists pictured it as a sprinting predator, a bear-shaped cheetah built to run prey into the ground. Recent bone analysis says otherwise. Its long legs were too fragile for high-speed turns and sudden stops. What the isotopes actually suggest is scavenging on an enormous scale, walking huge distances, sniffing out kills other predators had already made, then simply arriving and taking them by force. Its bite force topped 4,000 newtons, strong enough to crush skulls outright. This animal didn't need to hunt to eat well. It needed to show up. Dire wolves, saber cats, none of them argued when something this size walked into a kill site. But raw size alone didn't win the Ice Age. Somewhere across North America, something built differently was proving that. American lion, Panthera atrox. The largest cat that has ever lived on Earth, bigger than the modern African lion, and bigger even than the cave lion it descended from. Some estimates put males near 350 kilograms, built for taking down bison and juvenile mammoths across open plains stretching from Alaska down into Peru. It likely hunted alone rather than in prides, and it may not have even been able to roar. That specific vocal adaptation may not have existed yet in its branch of the lion family. Here's what almost nobody expects. Bone strength testing on this animal's limbs revealed it wasn't even the toughest predator sharing its ecosystem. That title belonged to something a fraction of its size, and far more efficient at simply not dying when the environment turned hostile. Cave hyena. Forget the reputation modern hyenas picked up from movies. This predator had a bite strong enough to crack elephant bone, a stomach acidic enough to digest hide, hoof, and skeleton without waste, and a social structure engineered for outlasting bigger, flashier competitors. Ice Age cave hyenas ranged from Britain all the way to Siberia, adapting to nearly every climate that era could throw at them. They weren't scavengers scraping by on leftovers. They actively hunted the majority of what they ate, in coordinated groups that strategized rather than just chased. And when climates flip and prey vanishes overnight, the animal built to eat everything and waste nothing is the one still standing once the dust settles. That's not luck, that's design running exactly as intended. Now here's the predator that made almost everything above it look ordinary. Saber cat. Smilodon. 18 centimeters of curved canine hanging from its jaw. But here's the twist almost nobody sees coming. Its actual bite force was weak, roughly a third of a modern lion's, barely enough to matter on paper. Those famous teeth weren't built for clamping down and holding. They were surgical instruments meant for one precise cut, not a prolonged fight. So how did an animal with a genuinely weak bite kill prey 3 times its own size? The answer is its forelimbs. Radiograph studies show Smilodon had the most reinforced humerus bones of any cat ever measured, stronger relative to body size than the much larger American lion hunting the same ground. It didn't chase anything down. It ambushed, pinned its target with raw upper body strength, and held it still just long enough for one precise strike to the throat. Miss that strike, and those iconic sabers could snap clean off inside the wound. Every part of this animal's anatomy existed to make sure that strike never missed. At La Brea, dozens of Smilodon skeletons were pulled from the same trap, tangled together. Not a coincidence of geology. Evidence of animals still trying to save pack members already stuck when they themselves went down. Now, for the one name on this list that shouldn't technically be here at all, and that's exactly why it earns its place. Andrewsarchus. This isn't an Ice Age animal. It lived 45 million years earlier, deep in the Eocene, long before mammoths, saber cats, or a single one of the predators above it ever existed. But the skull alone, 83 centimeters long, the largest predatory mammal skull ever discovered, explains why it still gets mentioned in the same breath as every Ice Age giant on this list. We've never found the rest of its skeleton, just that one skull. Everything else is careful estimation. Roughly 1,000 kilograms, jaws powerful enough to crush bone outright, a build closer to a massive carnivorous pig than the wolf-like image most people picture when they hear the name. It lived in a world still figuring out what apex predator even meant in the empty space left behind after the dinosaurs disappeared. Some of its closest mammal relatives eventually evolved into whales. If this list surprised you, the comment section is waiting. Tell me which one of these you think would win if all 7 were still alive at the same time. Subscribe, drop a like, and tell me in the comments which one of these 8 you'd least want to run into. First few correct answers on the trivia question get featured in the next video. See you there.